Imagine the endless Atlantic, grey and merciless, waves like mountains rising and falling, each crest hiding unseen dangers below. You're aboard a convoy ship, eyes scanning the horizon for the faintest shadow. A distant sonar ping, a ripple, then nothing. Seconds pass, then a thunderous explosion shakes the deck, throwing men into chaos. Somewhere beneath, a hunter strikes silently, unseen, unstoppable. No one can predict where the next strike will come. No one can outrun the lurking terror beneath the waves. Every decision is a gamble. Every glance over the railing could be the last. The ocean is vast, but death moves faster. From Norway to the Caribbean, from Iceland to the Azores, the fight for control of the Atlantic will define the fate of nations. It was here in these cold, roiling waters that the Kriegsmarine unleashed the U-boat campaign, an invisible predator in a war that spanned continents. For months, years, the hunters and the hunted danced a deadly waltz, each side adapting, innovating, surviving. Welcome, history warriors, I'm Knightley. You're about to witness history like never before. But before we dive into the silent waters where shadows rule, we must understand the world they entered. War context. The year is 1939. Europe teeters on the edge of chaos. Germany, freshly emboldened by rapid victories in Poland, eyes the Atlantic with ambition. Britain, an island nation dependent on imports, braces for a war that will test its lifelines. Across the vast oceans, the stage is set for a silent, invisible battle that will span thousands of miles. The Atlantic is no mere body of water. It is a lifeline, a corridor connecting continents carrying food, fuel, and weapons from North America to the heart of Europe. Every ship is a vital artery, every convoy a target. Germany's Kriegsmarine sees opportunity in this vulnerability. Beneath the waves, U-boats, submarines built for stealth and lethality, await their orders. Each boat a predator, each captain a hunter with a single objective: disrupt, destroy, dominate. Allies respond in kind. The Royal Navy patrols the waters with destroyers and corvettes. Aircraft sweep the skies, and new technologies, sonar, radar, code-breaking, begin to turn the tide. But the Atlantic is immense, and the hunter is invisible. Convoys stretch for miles, ships packed with supplies, yet fragile against the silent stalkers beneath. The stakes could not be higher. A successful U-boat campaign could starve Britain, cripple the Allies, and alter the course of the war. Fail, and Germany risks exposing its submarines to counterattack, losing men and machines in a battle of attrition. Both sides must innovate, adapt, and survive in an unforgiving theater of war where one misstep could mean annihilation. Commanders, from the icy decks of destroyers to the shadowed control rooms of U-boats, weigh every decision with grim precision. Every sonar ping, every signal intercepted, every convoy plotted, becomes a life-or-death gamble. In this fragile balance, the calm stretches like a taut wire over the storm. The sea itself holds its breath, and soon that tension will snap. Forces converge, technologies clash, strategies collide, the stage is set. Silence fills the ocean, but only for a moment. Soon the hunt begins. Strategic build-up. Germany's plan is clear: strangle the Allies at sea. Admiral Karl Dönitz, methodical and relentless, envisions fleets of U-boats patrolling every convoy route, hunting in coordinated wolfpacks. Precision is everything. Every submarine, every torpedo, every sonar evasion must be calculated. Dönitz is a strategist who reads the ocean like a battlefield map, predicting Allied moves with almost prophetic clarity. Across the Atlantic, British commanders anticipate disaster. Convoys must sail in tight formations, guarded by destroyers, corvettes, and aircraft patrols. Every escort is a shield, every radar sweep a lifeline. The Admiralty knows that a single missed U-boat could mean the loss of thousands of tons of supplies and countless lives. Technology becomes the silent battleground. Enigma machines encode German orders. Radar, sonar, and depth charges answer in kind. Allies deploy long-range aircraft to patrol vast stretches of ocean. The tension builds, a cat-and-mouse game on a scale never seen before. Every sailor, from the officer on the bridge to the deckhand below, senses the coming storm. The Atlantic waits, patient and indifferent, ready to swallow the unwary. The U-boat crews undergo relentless preparation. Training dives in icy fjords, practice attacks on convoys, mastering the art of silence. Every crew member must perform flawlessly. One error, one hesitation, could mean death. Torpedo drills, sonar evasion, silent running. The lessons of previous patrols are etched into memory. Allied convoys respond with equal rigor. Captain Sir James Somerville, experienced and pragmatic, inspects each ship, every weapon, every signal. Anti-submarine tactics evolve with each encounter. Aircraft carriers and corvettes patrol, ready to strike at any hint of danger. Each side adjusts in real time, a living chess match across thousands of miles of ocean. The tension rises in ports and shipyards. Submarines slip quietly from harbors, engines humming beneath the night sky, unaware of the dangers lurking miles away. Convoy routes are plotted with care, schedules altered to confuse enemy reconnaissance. The Atlantic is alive with strategy, every wave carrying the weight of war. The stage is set. Soon, silence will be shattered. Intelligence drives the conflict. Allied codebreakers at Bletchley Park work tirelessly, intercepting and decoding Enigma messages. Every decrypted order is a lifeline for convoys, a chance to reroute, evade, survive. Dönitz counters with operational secrecy, masking movements, altering signals, adapting constantly. The U-boats, sleek and stealthy, move like shadows. Each captain, some young, some hardened veterans, reads the sea like a battlefield. Carl Friedrich Merton, ambitious and daring, trusts his instincts as much as his orders. Others, like Heinrich Lehmann-Willenbrock, rely on discipline and precision, executing every command with military elegance. Allies innovate too. New weapons depth charges, sonar upgrades, aircraft-launched bombs push the submarine crews to their limits. Every mission becomes a test of nerve, skill, and endurance. The Atlantic is vast, but nowhere is safe. Convoys sail into the unknown. Submarines plot the kill, and every command decision ripples across the ocean. The first shots of the silent war are imminent. The Atlantic is unforgiving. Storms crash against convoy decks, waves tower like mountains, and the wind screams through rigging. U-boat crews must navigate not just enemies but nature itself. Instruments tremble under the pressure. Every sonar ping is drowned by wind and wave. Mist can hide a submarine or a deadly torpedo approaching unseen. Convoy captains chart courses with care, plotting zigzags and evasive maneuvers. Escorts form protective rings, scanning for shadows beneath the surface. Aircraft patrol the skies, their eyes scanning foam-tipped waves. The slightest mistake could unravel the fragile defenses. In Germany, U-boat flotillas are coordinated with precise timing. Wolfpacks are dispatched in calculated positions, each submarine a node in a deadly network. Dönitz monitors movements through encrypted radio messages, confident that preparation and cunning will yield victories. Every captain knows the Atlantic is both ally and enemy, a silent partner in a war of patience and predation. Morale is a weapon as vital as torpedoes. Submarine crews face weeks of isolation, cramped quarters, and constant vigilance. Letters from home are scarce. The roar of engines, the hiss of vents, the faint groan of metal under pressure, these are their companions. Comradeship and discipline must hold fast, for one misstep can doom an entire patrol. Across the ocean, convoy crews endure their own tension. Officers issue commands over static-filled radios. Men patrol endlessly, scanning the horizon for shapes in the mist. Every ship lost is a blow to morale, every convoy that reaches port, a triumph of perseverance. War is measured in invisible seconds. The hunters track the hunted brace for shadows. The Atlantic becomes a theater where strategy, endurance, and nerve determine fate long before first shots are fired. Tomorrow's ocean battles will be fought not just with guns, but with patience, wit, and the relentless drive to outthink the enemy. Technology intensifies the tension. Enigma machines encode every U-boat maneuver. Sonar arrays seek to expose hidden submarines. Radar blips light up dark skies. Depth charges are fine-tuned for maximum effect. Innovation is survival. Stagnation is death. In submarines, periscopes pierce the horizon, scanning for smoke or silhouette. Crew members calculate angles, fuel reserves, torpedo loads. In the vastness of the Atlantic, every decision echoes in real time. A single miscalculation can turn hunter into prey. On the Allied side, intelligence officers analyze shipping patterns, aerial reconnaissance, and decrypted messages. Convoys are rerouted, escorts repositioned, a delicate ballet of anticipation and response. The ocean hums with invisible tension, each side poised for the first act of war. The Atlantic is no longer a highway. It has become a battlefield of shadows, strategy, and nerves of steel. Captain Eric Top adjusts his periscope, scanning for distant smoke. Calm, precise, ruthless. His mind is a map of the Atlantic, every convoy route memorized. He trusts his instincts, but every maneuver is calculated. Alongside him, crew members check torpedo tubes, whispering under breath, each aware of the invisible predator lurking in their own waters. Allied escorts. Wolfpacks are not merely groups. They are coordinated strikes of deadly efficiency. Dönitz orders submarines to converge silently, forming a net through which convoys will have no escape. Radio silence is maintained. One misplaced signal, and the hunter becomes the hunted. Across the convoy lines, British escorts anticipate these patterns. Captain Johnny Walker, a veteran strategist, studies previous U-boat attacks. He reorganizes formations, varies speed, and coordinates with aircraft to extend their reach. Every step, every radio call is a gamble. The Atlantic becomes a chessboard. Moves are invisible, consequences immediate. The ocean waits. Submarines glide beneath waves like shadows. Engines hum, pressure rises, tension coils in every crew member. Each dive is rehearsed, each torpedo shot analyzed. Yet the uncertainty is constant. Weather can betray them, fog, wind, waves can hide or reveal. Convoys stretch for miles. Endless lines of cargo vessels, each laden with supplies that could determine the fate of nations. Escorts patrol, sonar sweeping the depths. Aircraft patrol from dawn to dusk, scanning every crest. Every movement is observed, every route contested. Commanders like Dönitz and Walker study maps endlessly, plotting moves, predicting counters. Even small decisions, speed, formation, timing, can decide life or death. The battle is not yet visible, but its pulse beats beneath the waves in the minds of every officer and sailor. The Atlantic is alive. Every signal, every shadow is a story waiting to unfold. Communication is a weapon. Enigma messages encode every U-boat movement. Allied codebreakers race to decipher them. Every decrypted order could save a convoy or doom it. Crew members learn to move in near-perfect silence, their heartbeats syncing with the hum of diesel engines and the groan of metal hulls under pressure. Each U-boat captain develops his own style. Lehmann-Willenbrock, calm and meticulous, coordinates with precision. Top, daring and instinctive, relies on split-second decisions. Their personalities define their missions as much as technology or orders. Allies adapt. Radar, sonar, long-range patrol aircraft, depth charges. They layer defenses, build traps in the water. Convoys are no longer passive targets. They are moving fortresses, continuously shifting, unpredictably. Every patrol becomes a study in strategy, endurance, and nerves. The Atlantic is no longer a highway. It is a theater of tension, invisible yet lethal. Logistics shape the war. Submarines refuel at secret ports in occupied France, resupply with torpedoes and provisions, and transmit patrol reports via encrypted messages. Allied convoys must time departures, align escorts, and coordinate air coverage across thousands of miles. Precision is everything. Tension is palpable in every port. U-boat crews leave loved ones behind, never certain of their return. Convoy crews board ships knowing each crossing could be their last. The Atlantic stretches endlessly, indifferent to human plans. Wolfpack tactics are refined. Submarines spread over hundreds of miles, converging silently, waiting for signals to strike simultaneously. Convoys zigzag, escorts respond, aircraft patrol, depth charges rattle, and sonar hums. Each moment a microcosm of a massive, invisible battle. Every captain, every crew member, every sailor waits for the signal, the first engagement, the collision of strategy and reality. Silence before the storm. A cold fog blankets the convoy. Visibility drops to near zero. Submarines slip silently beneath the waves, invisible hunters in a shifting maze. Every crew member clutches equipment, tension crackling in the air. Torpedoes are checked and rechecked. Convoy escorts adjust, signaling silently, scanning blindly with radar and sonar. Aircraft hover like ghosts above, listening for a hint of diesel. The Atlantic becomes a theater of senses, sound and shadow, anticipation and instinct. Dönitz watches reports from command centers, adjusting wolfpack positions. He anticipates every Allied move, every zigzag, every patrol pattern. Timing is everything. Soon, patience will give way to action. Captain Merton dives deep, the hull groaning under pressure. Below the Atlantic is a dark corridor, cold and unyielding. Every sonar ping is analyzed. Every shadow is considered a threat. He remembers prior patrol ships lost, comrades gone. Each decision is weighted by experience and instinct. Above, convoy crews adjust formation, alternating speed and zigzagging, relying on escort coordination and long-range reconnaissance. Every mile sailed is a gamble, every wave a potential trap. The Atlantic has become a chessboard, with invisible pieces moving silently. The first moves of this massive war game are imminent. Wolfpacks converge, hundreds of miles apart yet coordinated like clockwork. Radio signals, encrypted, direct their approach. Submarines fan out, forming a net that will ensnare convoys when the order comes. Timing, position, patience, each a weapon in itself. Allied intelligence scrambles to interpret patterns. Convoys shift formation. Escorts adjust radar sweeps. Depth charge readiness increases. The Atlantic is thick with tension, every crew member aware that the first mistake could be fatal. Commanders on both sides feel the weight of anticipation. The stage is set for a battle that will define the war at sea. Training and technology intersect. U-boat crews practice silent approaches, quick dives, emergency maneuvers. Allied destroyers rehearse convoy defense drills. Aircraft crews coordinate patrols over shifting seas. Innovation is survival, and survival is everything. Captain Lehmann-Willenbrock runs through mental simulations, anticipating every Allied response. Torpedoes loaded, fuel checked, crew alert. Hours stretch into days under tension, but preparation never stops. Every sailor, above or below deck, senses the approaching confrontation. The Atlantic waits, patient, indifferent, vast. Convoys depart ports along the North American coast. Merchant vessels, filled with vital supplies, stretch for miles. Escorts fan out, scanning, listening, ready for attack. The ocean is a gauntlet. The U-boats lurk unseen beneath. Dönitz dispatches wolfpacks from Norway, France, and occupied ports. Each boat's route, speed, and patrol pattern calculated with precision. The margin for error is razor thin. The first contact is imminent. Every sailor braces. Every captain anticipates. The Atlantic hums with invisible energy, the tension of war palpable in every creaking hull. Signals, intercepts, weather reports, radar blips, information flows ceaselessly. The Atlantic is alive with strategy. Convoy officers coordinate with distant command, adapting to changing conditions. Submarines navigate unseen hazards, mines, reefs, unpredictable currents. Captain Top charts an approach toward a heavily defended convoy. Every maneuver calculated, every risk measured. Above, escorts ready their anti-submarine tactics. Both hunter and hunted know the stakes are immense. The ocean has never been more dangerous or more vital. U-boat crews feel the weight of isolation. Weeks underwater, rationed food, constant vigilance. One mistake, one lapse in focus, and the Atlantic will claim them. Yet they move with precision, training and discipline guiding each action. Convoy crews face equal pressure. Every lookout scan, every signal interpreted, every evasive maneuver executed, these small actions determine survival. Aircraft patrols, sonar sweeps, and depth charges create a deadly net. The tension reaches a climax. Both sides are ready. Both sides know the first engagement is inevitable. The Atlantic stretches endlessly, indifferent, merciless. Submarines glide like shadows beneath waves. Convoys advance steadily, cargo vital to the war effort. Commanders issue final instructions. Crews tighten their grips on railings, periscopes, weapons. All intelligence, strategy, training, and patience culminate in this moment. Wolfpacks converge, escorts adjust, aircraft scan endlessly. Every heart aboard feels the weight of anticipation, every mind calculates survival odds. The first clash is imminent. Soon the silent war will erupt into visible chaos, and the ocean will become a battlefield of shadows and steel. Battle begins. The Atlantic shivers under the weight of war. Convoys stretch across the horizon, miles of merchant ships, steel and wood laden with supplies. Escorts fan out, scanning, listening. Above, clouds churn, the wind shrieking through rigging. Beneath the waves, U-boats glide silently. Top spots a shadow, a smokestack in the mist. He signals others, Wolfpack coordinates adjusting silently. Torpedoes are readied, eyes sharp, fingers tense on triggers. Suddenly, a periscope tip breaks the surface. Silence explodes into action. Depth charges rattle the hull. Crew members brace, eyes wide, hearts hammering. The hunter becomes the hunted in an instant. The ocean is no longer empty. It is a battlefield. And somewhere in the fog, the first strike is about to fall. The first torpedo arcs silently beneath the waves. Merchant ships rock violently. Steel screams as hulls shudder. Men scramble on decks, shouting, firing, bracing. Water sprays waves tower, and alarms pierce the stormy air. Allied escorts respond instantly, zigzagging, releasing depth charges, sonar thrumming through the chaos. Aircraft dive, searching the waves for shadows that vanish too quickly. Every second stretches, every movement a gamble. U-boats dive deeper, adjusting course, evading sonar pings. Torpedoes reload. The hunter strikes again. In this instant, the Atlantic is no longer a passage. It is a war zone, alive with fury, precision, and terror. The battle has begun, but the fight is only escalating. Captain Lehmann-Willenbrock peers through his periscope. A convoy maneuvers in defensive patterns, escorts fanning out like predators' teeth. He signals the pack. Engines hum beneath the waves. A destroyer spots a shadow. Sonar pulses. The U-boat twists, dives, silent and precise. Depth charges explode nearby, shaking metal, rattling nerves. Above, flares ignite the fog, casting fleeting light over desperate crews. Below, Top calculates torpedo angles, firing at the largest freighter. The impact is instantaneous. Hull ruptures, water surges, alarms scream. The convoy reacts, zigzagging, sending escorts on a frantic chase. The Atlantic churns with chaos. Every move is countered, every strike anticipated, and still the hunters press on. Smoke and mist mingle, masking movements. Aircraft circle high, dropping flares and scanning endlessly. Torpedoes streak beneath the waves, invisible yet deadly. Merchant vessels shudder under near misses, sailors thrown across decks. U-boat crews work with silent efficiency, reloading, recalculating. Each decision is immediate, precise, lethal. Wolfpacks converge from miles apart, a deadly net tightening around the convoy. On the bridge of a British destroyer, Captain Walker barks orders. Depth charges fall like meteors, sonar pulses echo. The counterattack is relentless. The Atlantic is a symphony of tension, metal against metal, wave against wave, mind against mind. The first losses are felt, but the hunt continues, unbroken, unforgiving. A freighter explodes midship, fire leaping skyward. Smoke obscures the horizon. Crews scramble, lifeboats deploy, alarms wail. The convoy reacts with instinctual precision, zigzag, countermeasure, protect. Beneath, Top maneuvers, reading the chaos like a chessboard. Another torpedo is fired, impacting a cargo vessel. Water erupts, metal bends, cries mix with the roar of the ocean. Wolfpacks coordinate, striking in waves, relentless and methodical. Aircraft dive and roar above, scanning, dropping flares, tracking shadows that vanish. Escorts respond furiously, firing, sweeping, coordinating attacks. The Atlantic trembles. Strategy, technology, courage, and fear collide in seconds of life or death calculation. The hunt is relentless, the ocean unforgiving, the battle only just begun. Depth charges explode, shaking decks and hulls. Water sprays like artillery fire. Crews cling to railings, ears ringing, hearts racing. Every sonar ping is a threat, every shadow a potential predator. Top maneuvers, silent and precise. Another torpedo streaks through the waves, striking a tanker. Flames leap, alarms scream. The convoy fights back, zigzagging, flares illuminating fleeting moments of chaos. Wolfpacks coordinate invisibly, striking in tandem, exploiting gaps and retreating before the escorts can respond. The ocean becomes a living battlefield, every wave a weapon, every second a gamble. The hunt escalates. Nothing is certain. Lehmann-Willenbrock signals silently. His U-boat glides beneath the waves, evasive, calculating. A destroyer passes overhead, sonar thrumming. Depth charges fall nearby. Water erupts. Metal groans. Crew braces. Above, a freighter lists, smoke trailing skyward. Another torpedo hits, chaos surges. Convoy escorts counter, launching depth charges and deploying smoke screens. Aircraft circle, scanning, dropping flares. The Atlantic swirls with tension hunter and hunted intertwined. Each strike is immediate, each counter precise. The stakes are survival, strategy, and dominance. The first waves of destruction will not be the last. Smoke and fire mark the horizon. Top fires another torpedo, striking a supply ship. Flames erupt. Crew abandon deck in lifeboats. The convoy reacts, shifting formation, escorts firing depth charges, scanning the depths. Wolfpacks move silently, coordinating with precision. Each U-boat a cog in the deadly machinery. The Atlantic trembles under this invisible ballet of strategy and destruction. The battle rages. Moments stretch into hours. Every decision could mean survival or death, and still the hunters press on. Aircraft dive low, wings slicing the fog. Flares ignite, casting fleeting light on rolling waves. Torpedoes streak beneath, invisible killers in the dark. Convoy escorts fire guns, drop charges, maneuver unpredictably. Lehmann-Willenbrock orders evasive maneuvers. Crew members hold fast, every muscle tense, every eye scanning. The ocean has become a corridor of death and calculation. Each strike, each counter, tests nerve, skill, and endurance. The Atlantic is alive, violent, and indifferent. The clash intensifies, momentum shifts with every second. A freighter erupts, steel and wood torn apart. Smoke rises, carried by wind across the convoy. Survivors scramble in lifeboats. Escort ships accelerate, sonar humming, guns ready. Wolfpacks adjust course, converging silently. Another torpedo is fired, another vessel crippled. The Atlantic churns with chaos, strategy clashing with instinct. Here above, aircraft patrols scanning, circling, providing fleeting shadows of intelligence. The battle is a symphony of tension, human courage, and machine precision intertwined. And yet, the fight continues. Top maneuvers with calm precision. Every sonar ping, every ripple is data. Torpedoes are launched, strikes calculated to maximize disruption. Flames leap from the water as cargo ships succumb. Convoy escorts counter fiercely, dropping charges, zigzagging, forcing evasive action. Smoke and debris fill the air. Waves crash, metal groans, alarms scream. Wolfpacks coordinate across miles, invisible, relentless. The Atlantic is a chessboard of steel, strategy, and nerve. The first act of destruction reaches its peak, yet more chaos is coming. Lehmann-Willenbrock peers through periscope. Another freighter, now burning, zigzags desperately. Depth charges explode nearby water, and shockwaves tearing at the hull. Crew holds steady, silent under immense pressure. Above, escort ships fan out, scanning, attacking. Aircraft dive, dropping flares and bombs. Torpedoes streak below, striking suddenly, vanishing. The ocean roars with the sound of unseen war. The momentum shifts constantly. Hunter and hunted exchange roles in seconds. Survival depends on strategy, skill, and luck. Smoke, flames, and debris cloud the horizon. Convoy crews adjust formation, zigzagging to confuse the invisible hunter. Depth charges explode in spirals of water. Aircraft roar overhead, scanning for shadows. Top fires again. Another torpedo strikes. Chaos erupts aboard a cargo vessel. Wolfpacks coordinate silently, exploiting gaps, striking from unexpected angles. The Atlantic is a battlefield without borders. Every wave a weapon, every second a test. The clash continues, escalating beyond anticipation. Signals intercepted, maneuvers recalculated. The U-boats adjust course, reloading torpedoes, diving silently. The convoy fights back, escorts responding with methodical aggression. Each second stretches. Crew members above and below decks sweat, hearts hammering. The ocean seems alive, every wave hiding peril. Wolfpacks press the attack, escorts respond. Aircraft circle above, flares illuminating fleeting glimpses of destruction. Every decision echoes across the Atlantic. The clash intensifies. Victory and survival hang by a thread. A destroyer fires a depth charge directly over a U-boat. Metal shudders. Water erupts. Crew grips railings, waiting for the worst. Below, Top maneuvers deftly, evading the deadly explosion. Another freighter is struck. Smoke and fire erupt across the convoy. Crew scramble into lifeboats. Aircraft sweep overhead, signals flashing, scanning every wave. The Atlantic is chaos incarnate. Strategy, courage, and chance collide. Wolfpacks coordinate in the shadows, striking again and again. The battle has escalated beyond control. Momentum is fluid. Survival is uncertain. Flames leap from a freighter, smoke twisting into the sky. Crew members scramble, shouting, dropping into lifeboats. Escorts zigzag around the burning vessel, depth charges shaking the ocean beneath them. Top maneuvers his U-boat below, reading each counterattack, timing strikes with lethal patience. Another torpedo speeds silently through the dark water, striking another ship. Chaos spreads through the convoy like wildfire. Above, aircraft dip and bank, flares illuminating fleeting glimpses of destruction. The Atlantic has become a living war zone, unpredictable, violent and merciless. The hunt is relentless. The fight has only just begun. A destroyer unleashes a barrage of depth charges. Water erupts around the U-boat, shaking metal and nerves alike. Crew braces. Top calculates a silent escape, engines humming under pressure. Wolfpacks coordinate invisibly, converging from miles away. Each strike, each evasive maneuver, is a calculated dance of death and survival. Convoy formations shift frantically, smoke and fire cloud vision. Alarms blare across ships, orders shouted across decks. Every second stretches like hours, every move a test of nerve. The Atlantic is no longer a passage, it is a battlefield of shadows, steel and strategy. Lehmann-Willenbrock peers through his periscope. Another freighter burns. Crew in lifeboats struggle against waves. Depth charges explode nearby, shaking the hull. Above, aircraft roar, scanning, dropping flares. Convoy escorts fan out, firing and maneuvering, attempting to protect the remaining ships. The U-boats strike in waves, Wolfpack coordination precise. Each torpedo, each depth charge, each evasive maneuver reshapes the battle. Momentum shifts constantly, the line between hunter and hunted blurring. The Atlantic churns with fury, strategy and courage. Top fires another torpedo, metal screams, flames leap, crew scramble. The convoy reels, escorts dive to counter, sonar thrumming. Wolfpacks converge, striking gaps in defensive lines. Each U-boat a silent predator, moving in calculated patterns. Above, aircraft illuminate smoke and debris. Convoy tactics are tested to the limit. The ocean itself seems alive, a force shaping the battle. Every decision, every strike, every counterattack carries the weight of life and death. The clash escalates. Chaos reigns. Tanker erupts mid-ocean, flames towering skyward. Crew abandon ship in lifeboats. Escorts respond furiously, depth charges exploding around U-boats. Lehmann-Willenbrock maneuvers silently beneath the chaos, evading, calculating, striking again. Top coordinates with the Wolfpack, timing each attack to perfection. Air patrols circle above, scanning every ripple, every shadow. Convoy formations twist, shift, attempt to shield vulnerable ships. The Atlantic churns with smoke, fire, and metal. Survival is a fleeting concept. The hunt continues. Signals cross the ocean, silent but precise. Wolfpacks reposition. Another torpedo strikes. Fire leaps skyward. Crew scramble, shouting orders, launching lifeboats. Escorts zigzag, deploy depth charges. Below, U-boats twist, dive, evade. Coordination is flawless. Each captain a predator, each crew member a participant in a deadly ballet. The Atlantic roars with destruction. Every wave conceals another strike. Every sonar pulse could be the difference between life and death. The battle rages. Momentum constantly shifts. An escort destroyer is damaged by near-miss torpedoes. Crew fights to maintain control. Smoke trails the horizon, marking burning ships. Top maneuvers his U-boat, reading the chaos. Another strike, another freighter, crippled. Wolfpack strike as one, coordinated, relentless. Convoy formations twist and scatter under pressure. Aircraft circle, flares illuminating the fleeting outlines of destruction. Every second is a gamble, every move a potential salvation or disaster. The Atlantic is chaos incarnate. Depth charges explode near a U-boat, shaking hull and nerves alike. Crew braces, silence broken by alarms, orders shouted, water thrashing against metal. Below, Top and Lehmann-Willenbrock coordinate attacks, evading, striking, reloading. Another freighter explodes. The convoy reels, escorts counter, zigzag, release more charges. Above, aircraft swoop, scanning, illuminating smoke and chaos. Wolfpacks strike again. The Atlantic has become a theater of strategy, instinct, and relentless violence. The first act of destruction reaches its peak. A tanker sinks beneath the waves, fire trailing smoke. Crew abandon ship, fighting waves and cold. Convoy escorts respond frantically. Depth charges explode, sonar hums, aircraft circle. Wolfpacks move with deadly coordination. Each torpedo, each maneuver, is timed for maximum effect. Convoy formations shift, adapt, counter, but the attackers remain relentless. The Atlantic is alive with tension, danger, and chaos. Every wave hides a decision, every ripple a potential strike. The hunt continues. Momentum shifts with each second. The ocean is a tempest of fire, steel, and strategy. Flames, smoke, and debris cloud the horizon. U-boats twist and dive, striking where the convoy is weakest. Top fires another torpedo. Another freighter is crippled. Escorts respond fiercely, zigzagging, dropping depth charges. Aircraft swoop, illuminating fleeting shadows of destruction. The Atlantic roars, indifferent, unforgiving. Crew above and below decks hold fast. Every second is a life or death calculation. The first full day of the battle ends, but the war at sea is far from over. The turning point. The Atlantic wakes to a new dawn. Smoke drifts from burning freighters. The cries of the exhausted echo across endless waves. Wolfpacks patrol, searching for stragglers, but the tide of the battle is subtly shifting. A hidden hand moves in silence. Intelligence, technology, and human ingenuity converge. Allied codebreakers at Bletchley Park have intercepted encrypted German messages. Patterns emerge in the U-boat positions. Routes, patrol times, coordinated strikes, all decoded, analyzed, and turned into actionable countermeasures. Captain Johnny Walker studies the decrypted orders. Convoy routes are altered, escorts reinforced at weak points, aircraft redirected to patrol dangerous corridors. For the first time, the hunters are being hunted. The U-boats, unaware of the breach, continue their assaults, striking at ships that seem defenseless. But the Atlantic is no longer a blind battlefield. Every move they make is anticipated. The balance of the ocean is shifting. Top notices unusual patterns in convoy movements. Zigzags are sharper, escorts more aggressive, aircraft circling with precision. Something is different. A sinking dread spreads among the captains. Strategy alone may not be enough. Wolfpacks move into position, but they encounter traps. Depth charges explode with deadly accuracy. Sonar pings follow, and evasive maneuvers become increasingly perilous. Fuel and torpedo reserves stretch thin as U-boats engage more cautiously, scanning for threats in every shadow. Lehmann-Willenbrock adjusts patrols, signaling silently to pack members. The ocean feels different, heavier, as though the Atlantic itself has changed sides. The hunter must become aware that it is being hunted, Walker notes, voice steady yet urgent. The U-boats face a foe they cannot see but cannot ignore. Weather becomes an ally. Storms roll in, masking aerial patrols while forcing submarines to surface dangerously. Visibility drops. Radar reflections are disrupted. Convoy escorts use this unpredictability to their advantage, striking with precise timing. Wolfpacks try to adapt. Commands are sent via encrypted channels, but radio silence and signal delays create confusion. One misstep, a delayed maneuver, can leave a U-boat exposed to depth charges and coordinated attacks. Below decks, crews tense, every sonar ping analyzed, every shadow scrutinized. They sense a change in the rules of engagement. Survival now depends on more than daring. It demands adaptability, intelligence, and foresight. For the first time, Dönitz realizes the Atlantic is no longer an open hunting ground. Allied air patrols evolve. Long-range aircraft now carry radar, capable of detecting surfaced U-boats, even in fog or darkness. Convoy coordination improves, allowing destroyers and corvettes to respond instantly to sightings. Top evades one strike after another, noting the precision of the attacks. Previously routine patrols now feel perilous. Wolfpack coordination is undermined, and frustration grows among the captains. Lehmann-Willenbrock murmurs instructions, maintaining composure even as the ocean becomes a labyrinth of hazards. Every torpedo fired is now a gamble. Every maneuver demands calculation and restraint. A subtle but undeniable shift has taken hold. The hunters are no longer in full control. Supply lines begin to hold. Convoys reach port with fewer losses. Strategic shipments, food, fuel, weapons arrive in time to reinforce beleaguered armies. The Atlantic, once a deadly void for supply, becomes a conduit of resilience. Allied commanders capitalize on intelligence, adjusting patrols and convoy routes before U-boat attacks occur. The Wolfpack strategy begins to falter. Attacks are less coordinated, U-boats isolated, exposed. Top and Lehmann-Willenbrock exchange silent glances. The ocean that once obeyed them now resists, every shadow a potential trap. Adaptation is the lifeblood of survival, Walker reflects. The hunters sense it. The hunted gain momentum. U-boats struggle with limited fuel and torpedoes. Extended patrols become riskier. Attacks must be selective. Crews, exhausted from constant vigilance, face fatigue and stress. Allied escorts exploit this vulnerability. Tactical innovations, improved sonar, faster depth charge deployment, coordinated air-sea attacks tip engagements in favor of the convoys. U-boats now encounter prepared defenses rather than passive targets. Below decks, tension is palpable. Every ping, every shadow, every flare is a test of nerve. Survival is no longer guaranteed by stealth or daring alone. It requires skill, timing, and luck. The Atlantic has become an arena where experience and intelligence outweigh boldness alone. The pace of losses accelerates. Isolated U-boats are destroyed or forced to retreat. Wolfpack tactics falter. Coordination breaks under pressure. The psychological toll on crews grows. Confidence wanes. Top maneuvers cautiously, avoiding detection. Lehmann-Willenbrock adapts patrols, trying to exploit any opening. Yet the convoys move with precision, escorts anticipating and countering their attacks. The tide of the Atlantic campaign has turned subtly but irrevocably. The hunters now face a measured, patient, and intelligent adversary. The sea favors those who understand it, a historian later reflects. The ocean itself seems to conspire against the U-boats. Intelligence and technology dominate. Radar sweeps, sonar detection, and code-breaking combine to strip U-boats of the element of surprise. Convoy escorts adjust instantly to U-boat positions, often engaging before any torpedo can be launched. Top fires cautiously, every shot counts. Lehmann-Willenbrock calculates angles, depth, and timing, but success is rarer. Wolfpacks, once unstoppable, become fragmented, their communication compromised by Allied interception. The Atlantic no longer belongs to the hunters alone. A new era of maritime warfare is dawning, one defined by anticipation, adaptation, and relentless calculation. U-boat morale suffers. Extended patrols, increasing Allied resistance, and dwindling victories erode confidence. Crews cling to discipline and routine, but subtle tension pervades. Each patrol becomes a test of patience and endurance. Allied forces, emboldened by intelligence successes, press attacks decisively. Convoys are defended more effectively, losses diminish, and the psychological advantage shifts. Top notes each failed strike with quiet frustration. Lehmann-Willenbrock recalibrates, aware that the margin for error has shrunk. The Atlantic, once the U-boat's hunting ground, has become a contested arena, strategically balanced, dangerous for both sides. By mid-campaign, U-boat operations are forced to adapt. Wolfpacks patrol more cautiously, striking at isolated targets rather than well-guarded convoys. Fuel conservation dictates slower movements. Torpedo reserves constrain aggression. Allied countermeasures radar-equipped aircraft, fast destroyer escorts, intelligence-driven convoy routing turn once predictable battles into minefields of strategy. Losses are still high, but victories are harder to achieve. The hunters are no longer in full command. The hunted now influence the flow of the campaign. Momentum has shifted. The Atlantic remains vast, dangerous, and unforgiving, but the tides are turning. Aftermath and consequences. The Atlantic falls silent, but the echoes of battle linger. Smoke drifts from burned ships. Oil slicks shimmer on dark water, reminders of the confrontation that reshaped the sea lanes. Convoys limp toward port, battered but surviving. U-boats return cautiously, hulls scarred, crews exhausted, tension still etched in every face. Strategically, the campaign has shifted. The Allies have demonstrated resilience, coordination, and the decisive power of intelligence. Losses remain significant, but the balance of power tilts subtly yet irrevocably. The ocean, once dominated by shadow and stealth, is now contested space. Across command centers, analysts tally losses and successes. Ships saved, crews returned, tonnage delivered. Every figure is scrutinized. The numbers alone cannot capture the human strain, the sleepless nights, the constant vigilance demanded by an unforgiving theater of war. The tide of the Atlantic campaign has turned, leaving both sides to reckon with its consequences. Merchant ships limp into port, their cargoes intact or partially destroyed. Supplies vital for armies in Europe are delivered just in time, sustaining the Allied advance. Convoy crews are hailed for courage and endurance, medals awarded, logs filed, reports drafted. U-boat losses, though still steep, force a re-evaluation of strategy. Captains like Top and Lehmann-Willenbrock report damages, crew fatigue, and dwindling resources. Submarines require repairs, fuel resupply, and restocking of torpedoes. The wolfpack approach, once dominating, is now constrained by Allied detection and coordination. The human cost is ever present. Sailors above and below deck bear the weight of survival. Exhaustion, anxiety, and trauma are part of daily life. Lives have been lost, comrades mourned, and families waiting on distant shores must contend with uncertainty. The Atlantic campaign has become a study in endurance, adaptation, and the limits of maritime warfare. Territorial control is subtle but significant. Convoys now move with confidence along key North Atlantic routes. Ports, once threatened by U-boat patrols, receive vital supplies with increasing reliability. The Kriegsmarine adjusts, redeploying U-boats to more isolated sectors, attempting to regain leverage. Yet the Allies' ability to anticipate attacks, redirect convoys, and deploy faster escorts reduces the U-boat's operational dominance. Morale shifts. Allied sailors gain confidence. Crews operate with an awareness that preparation and coordination can mitigate losses. U-boat crews, conversely, feel the strain of intensified opposition, the psychological burden of stealth met with countermeasure. The Atlantic remains vast and dangerous, but no longer the uncontested hunting ground it once was. Casualties are carefully tabulated. Hundreds of merchant sailors, escort personnel, and U-boat crew members are lost. Each number represents a story: courage, endurance, split-second decisions that determine survival. Equipment losses are significant: merchant vessels sunk or damaged, U-boats requiring repairs, aircraft lost or disabled. Yet these figures are more than data. They are a testament to the intensity and scale of the struggle beneath, on, and above the waves. Territorial control remains largely neutral. The Atlantic itself cannot be claimed. What changes is the balance of threat, the ability to maneuver, and the strategic options available to commanders on both sides. The human cost is sobering, yet the campaign demonstrates the resilience and adaptability of every participant. Supply lines stabilize. Ports in the United Kingdom, Iceland, and Canada see steady arrivals of critical materials. Convoys navigate more safely, benefiting from refined tactics and intelligence. The strategic flow of resources sustains military campaigns elsewhere, indirectly shaping the war's progress on multiple fronts. The Kriegsmarine, forced to adapt, experiments with new technologies and patrol patterns. Wolfpacks operate more cautiously. U-boat commanders balance aggression with survival, cautious in the face of increasingly effective Allied anti-submarine measures. Above all, the campaign illustrates the evolution of naval warfare. Intelligence, coordination, technology, and human endurance converge to reshape operational effectiveness. The Atlantic has claimed lives and ships, yet it also teaches lessons in strategy, resilience, and adaptation. Psychological impact is profound. Allied crews, once wary, operate with confidence born of experience and coordination. U-boat crews confront uncertainty, aware that the ocean now harbors threats they cannot always predict. Naval commanders reassess their approach. Convoy escorts rotate, patrol strategies evolve, and lessons from losses are integrated into operational doctrine. Tactical innovation becomes as critical as bravery. The ocean itself is a stage for human ingenuity and perseverance. Victory is measured not only in tonnage sunk or ships saved, but in the ability to adapt and survive in an unforgiving environment. The consequences of the campaign reverberate across the Atlantic, shaping future engagements and strategies. The campaign leaves behind scars in infrastructure and morale. Ports bear the marks of attacks, crews bear the mental toll of constant vigilance. Families await news of loved ones, ships repaired, and supplies replenished. Strategically, the Allies gain an advantage. Convoys deliver vital materials reliably, sustaining operations across multiple theaters. Losses are mitigated, while U-boat effectiveness declines in proportion to intelligence-led countermeasures. The Kriegsmarine adapts but cannot ignore the shifting balance. Wolfpacks patrol with heightened caution. Engagements are more calculated, less frequent, and less decisive. The Atlantic campaign is no longer a simple hunt. It is a measured contest shaped by foresight, technology, and endurance. Lessons are drawn. Allied commanders understand the value of intelligence, radar, and sonar integration. U-boat strategies are re-evaluated, highlighting the limits of aggression when met with preparation and anticipation. Casualty reports detail human losses respectfully, avoiding sensationalism. The numbers reflect intensity without erasing individuality, the tension, courage, and adaptability of those aboard every vessel. Momentum has shifted. Convoys, once at the mercy of shadowy predators, now operate with tactical superiority. The Atlantic becomes a test not merely of stealth or daring, but of resilience, strategy, and foresight. The turning point is clear. The hunters are no longer unchallenged. The campaign leaves a long-term imprint. Allied logistics stabilize, sustaining operations in North Africa, Europe, and beyond. U-boat patrols are increasingly constrained. Operational success becomes rare and calculated. Morale, strategy, and technological innovation interplay. The Allies integrate lessons from intelligence and field experience. The Kriegsmarine confronts the cost of overextension and the limits of wolfpack tactics against a responsive and adaptive adversary. The Atlantic is no longer dominated by shadows. It has become a contested arena where preparation, coordination, and resilience determine outcomes. The ocean itself remains indifferent, yet human ingenuity tilts the balance. Ultimately, the U-boat campaign teaches that dominance in war is never guaranteed. Intelligence, coordination, and technological innovation can overturn even the most lethal strategies. Convoys now move with confidence. Ports receive supplies vital for global operations. The Kriegsmarine adapts, but the margin for error narrows. Every patrol, every maneuver carries risk. The human cost remains. Lives lost, crews traumatized, families waiting anxiously. The Atlantic campaign leaves lessons for naval strategy, technological integration, and the resilience of those who face the unpredictable sea. History will remember both courage and consequence in equal measure. The stage is set for reflection, analysis, and understanding the broader implications of this maritime struggle. Reflection and analysis. The Atlantic campaign was more than a clash of steel and waves. It was a study in human ingenuity, endurance, and the evolving nature of naval warfare. On both sides, commanders faced immense uncertainty, acting on incomplete information while balancing risk and opportunity. The Kriegsmarine relied on stealth, coordination, and daring. Wolfpack tactics exploited the vulnerabilities of slow-moving convoys, demonstrating the lethal potential of submarines in concentrated assaults. Yet, boldness alone could not guarantee success. Intelligence, technology, and preparation gradually tipped the balance against them. Allied forces learned to integrate multiple domains, air, sea, and cryptography, into a unified defense. Convoy strategy evolved from reactive maneuvers to proactive dominance, illustrating how foresight and adaptability could neutralize even the most audacious attacks. The campaign reminds us that strategy is a living process, responsive to both opportunity and innovation. U-boat commanders like Top and Lehmann-Willenbrock exemplified precision, discipline, and nerve under pressure. Each patrol required constant calculation, torpedo angles, depth settings, fuel consumption, and evasion. Their skill was extraordinary, yet no individual expertise could fully overcome the systemic advantages Allied forces had developed. Allied leaders recognized the power of intelligence as a force multiplier. Code-breaking at Bletchley Park turned abstract data into actionable strategy. Radar-equipped aircraft transformed the skies into a domain of detection rather than vulnerability. The combination of human analysis and technological tools redefined maritime warfare. This interplay between technology and strategy demonstrates a timeless principle. Adaptability determines survival more than brute strength alone. Convoy operations offer lessons in logistics and risk management. Coordinating hundreds of merchant vessels across thousands of miles required meticulous planning, communication, and discipline. The success of the Allies in maintaining supply lines highlights the critical importance of logistical superiority in warfare. Every escort ship, aircraft patrol, and strategic adjustment contributed to a system resilient to disruption. Losses were inevitable, yet each engagement taught lessons that improved future operations. Incremental innovation, better sonar, longer-range aircraft, refined convoy patterns, compounded to create strategic dominance. The U-boat threat never disappeared, but sustained adaptation allowed the Allies to maintain momentum and preserve critical resources. Leadership under pressure emerges as a central theme. Commanders on both sides had to make decisions with incomplete information, balancing aggression with caution. Mistimed maneuvers, miscommunication, or overconfidence could yield catastrophic consequences. For the Allies, leaders embraced flexibility and delegated operational authority, enabling rapid responses to dynamic threats. For U-boat captains, the challenge was maintaining coordination while operating in isolation beneath an unforgiving ocean. These contrasts illustrate that effective leadership is both strategic and situational, blending planning, intuition, and responsiveness. Technological evolution defined the campaign. Radar, sonar, depth charges, and code-breaking reshaped the Atlantic battlefield. Each advancement forced an adaptation in tactics and countermeasures. For the Allies, combining multiple technologies, radar detection, air reconnaissance, and radio intercepts, created a network of awareness that allowed them to anticipate U-boat actions. For the Kriegsmarine, innovation was necessary to maintain operational effectiveness, yet technology alone could not compensate for the growing strategic intelligence gap. The cat-and-mouse dynamic between hunter and hunted demonstrates that technological edge must be integrated into strategy and training, not relied upon as a sole determinant of success. Psychology played a vital role. U-boat crews faced the constant threat of death beneath crushing waves, while convoy sailors endured relentless anxiety of unseen predators. Fatigue, stress, and anticipation influenced decisions, shaping outcomes as decisively as skill or firepower. Sailors' morale and resilience, reinforced by training and camaraderie, often determined survival. Those who could maintain clarity under chaos, reading sonar pings, anticipating maneuvers, executing evasive action, made the difference between life and loss. The Atlantic campaign shows that warfare is as much a test of human endurance as it is of machines and strategy. Strategy emerges as layered and systemic. Success relied not on isolated actions, but on coordination across units, domains, and intelligence networks. Convoy tactics exemplified this principle. Air, sea, and information combined into a cohesive defensive web. The U-boat threat illustrated the power of concentrated, decisive action, but also its limitations. Without adaptability, the hunter is eventually countered. Wolfpack operations demanded precision and timing. Once the Allies predicted patterns, Vulnerabilities were exploited. This dynamic underscores the evolving nature of warfare. Dominance is never static. It is earned and maintained through insight, adaptation, and integration of all available resources. The Atlantic campaign also highlights risk management. Every engagement involved balancing potential gain against likely loss. U-boat operations risked crews, fuel, and vessels. Convoy defense demanded precise allocation of escorts and aircraft. Decisions were made in seconds yet had long-term consequences. Small miscalculations could cascade into systemic vulnerability, while effective planning yielded disproportionate advantage. Lessons in risk and reward, anticipation and counteraction, remain applicable far beyond the Atlantic, illustrating how strategy must account for uncertainty while exploiting opportunity. Coordination and communication emerge as critical. Allied forces maintained continuous situational awareness through integrated command networks. Information flowed from code breakers to convoy planners, from air reconnaissance to destroyer captains. U-boat crews, though skilled, faced isolation and limited situational awareness. Even the most disciplined wolfpack could be outmaneuvered when intelligence tilted the balance. The campaign demonstrates that information dominance can redefine the dynamics of engagement, allowing forces to act decisively and preemptively, even against highly trained adversaries. Ultimately, the Atlantic campaign illustrates the interplay of strategy, technology, leadership, and human endurance. Success is rarely achieved by a single factor. It emerges from the convergence of foresight, innovation, courage, and adaptability. Commanders learn to integrate intelligence, anticipate opponent behavior, and leverage technology without relying on it blindly. Sailors relied on discipline and coordination under constant pressure. The lessons of the Atlantic endure. Maritime dominance requires foresight, adaptation, and the willingness to learn from every engagement, loss, and innovation. Epic closing. The Atlantic stretches endlessly, its waves a mirror of history, forever restless, forever unpredictable. Imagine the silence now, the calm after storm and fire, where the echoes of torpedoes, depth charges, and desperate shouts have faded into memory. The ocean holds secrets, but also lessons carved into every hull, every life, every strategy executed beneath its grey expanse. We began with the hunters, the U-boats, stalking shadows beneath waves. Daring, disciplined, relentless. Their wolfpacks struck with precision, their captains mastering skill and nerve. And yet, even the most formidable predator can meet an adversary prepared, adaptable, and resolute. Intelligence, technology, and coordination reshaped the battlefield. The tides of war are never solely determined by courage alone. They flow with foresight, innovation, and human endurance. Allied convoys, once vulnerable, now navigated the Atlantic with increasing confidence. Ports received their supplies, armies moved forward, strategies evolved. Lives were lost, yes, and ships were sunk, yet the campaign ultimately highlighted resilience, learning, and the steady application of insight against unpredictability. The Atlantic campaign is a story of tension, adaptation, and transformation. Every torpedo fired, every evasive maneuver, every calculated decision contributed to a larger narrative, a testament to the intertwined destinies of hunter and hunted, predator and prey, human and machine. And so we reflect not just on the mechanics of war, but on the essence of strategy itself, the constant interplay between risk and preparation, between opportunity and consequence. We see that dominance is temporary, that every action provokes a reaction, that every victory demands both skill and humility. As we leave the waves behind, consider the lessons carried from this campaign, the power of intelligence, the necessity of adaptation, and the endurance of those who face impossible odds. The U-boat campaign was decisive, terrifying, and transformative. It reshaped not just the Atlantic, but the very nature of naval warfare. Thank you for joining this journey through the shadows and turbulence of history. If you have felt the tension, the urgency, the drama of the Atlantic, share your thoughts below. Comment on the strategies, the innovations, or the stories that struck you most. Like the video if you want more immersive historical storytelling, and subscribe to witness history come alive in ways textbooks can never convey. Next time, the fall of France, Blitzkrieg in action. You won't believe what happened there.